Week 1, Nebraska, Cincinnati, in Kansas City, Missouri, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's preview it. Let's break it down. Let's get into it. Nebraska and Cincinnati, man, what a good Week 1 matchup. This game actually takes place on a Thursday, so August 28th, Thursday, like I said, in Kansas City, Missouri. So not a home game. Another one of those good old neutral site games. I'm not a fan of them, but it is the reality of what things are. And that's just what it is. So let's go ahead. Let's start with Nebraska. Nebraska is currently a 6.5 point favorite in this game as of right now. That's probably going to change the closer we get. We know how volatile those odds are in the off season. But there's some cool nuggets, some interesting stats to think about when looking into this game and getting ready for this game to take place. So Nebraska, the biggest really questions for them are going to be, it's year 3 under Matt Rule. We all know, and if you don't know, year 3 Matt Rule is where, everything happens. This is the big year for him. It happened at Baylor. It happened at Temple. Year 3 was the breakout season. It was when the success really happened. The double-digit wins, the big bowl games. It's now year 3 at Nebraska for Matt Rule. To top that off, Nebraska has a 77% returning production rate. It's actually the third highest in the country. So you factor 77% of returning production, year 3 Matt Rule, and then you think about a year 2 Dylan Raiola, not a true freshman anymore. It's year 2 in this system. That's a lot. And that makes you kind of see why Vegas has them favored at -6.5. Now, that's the FanDuel odds. I'm not sure what the other odds are. But I want you to think about all three of those things baked into what this line sits at -6.5 right now. So just shy of a touchdown favorite. Or I guess if you're, a touchdown, 6 points. Okay, just over, with an extra point baked in there. But, those are big things to think about. The other thing I want you to think about is Marcus Satterfield was the offensive coordinator last year. November of last season, Dana Holgorsen took that position over. Now, if you don't know Dana Holgorsen, obviously that's a household name from his West Virginia days. He was an offensive guru. So having Raiola get a full offseason under Dana Holgorsen in that system, to me, that's dangerous. I think this team's going to be really good, but this is going to be a test, to start out the year. Nebraska, they picked up some good guys. They got Dane Key and Nazia Hunter out at the wideouts, out of the transfer portal. All in all, 24/7 Sports has Nebraska 5th in the portal class. 5th. So, again, that's just another thing to add. Last thing I kind of wanted to add on Nebraska, and then we're going to bounce over to Cincinnati in this preview, is Nebraska, they started the year 5-1 last year. They started hot. We remember them thumping Colorado. They looked good. Obviously, Matt Rule was pretty high on his team. We talked about if they could just turn around these 1 point, 2 point, even just one possession losses, how much different year 1 could have looked. Year 2, we thought that was the case. They started 5-1. They did have an overtime loss in there. I want to say that was to Illinois. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. But nonetheless, they were pretty close to starting the year 6-0. And then they just kind of fell off a cliff. Everybody kind of thought, okay, we made the steps, but we fell backwards. Something to note, though, they were 1-4 on the road last year. Now, this one's a neutral site game, but it's not a home game. So how does Nebraska fare this year, and especially here, week 1 not being at home? 1-4 on the road last year. Keep that in mind. Now let's bounce to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's interesting. Brendan Sorsby and Coach Satterfield, not to be mistaken with Marcus Satterfield, these two are going to have to figure it out this year. Last year, I want you to remember, Cincinnati started the season 5-2, and then they lost 5 straight games. So they started the year on a really good roll, and their 2 losses were 1 possession games. They lost by 3 to Texas Tech on the road. Not a bad loss. And then you bake in the fact that I want to say they lost by a point to Pitt at home there in those first 7 games. So, there was a realistic chance that team could have been 6-1, 7-0 to start the year, and then they lost 5 straight. They just fell off a cliff. Don't forget, Cincinnati beat ASU in that 5-2 start as well. So the potential was there. Now, when you look at returning production on the Cincinnati side, it's 68% returning production. So, this is going to be a good team this year. I think there's no reason that Sorsby and this team can't have a good season. I think this is going to be a close football game. It's going to be a battle, 4 quarters. I'm excited. I think, you got a lot of returning production on either side. 2 coaches that have a lot to prove, 2 quarterbacks that have a lot to prove. So this is going to be one of my favorite games of the season, and I'm looking forward to it. So, yes, sir.